Look, the Buffalo Bills are clearly a better team, but whatever you do, do not sleep on the Lions. Yo ho ho, Bills Mafia. Welcome to yet another edition of the Don Mafia Show. As always, your host, Dan Mitchell. Say, for example, that you're new here. Again, my name is Dan Mitchell, and I regularly put out videos about the Buffalo Bills and the NFL on a regular basis. If that is your cup of tea, I highly recommend subscribing to this channel, and as always, smashing the ever-living out of that like button. So yeah, Bills Mafia, you did read that title correctly, and yes, I entirely believe that we should not be sleeping on this Detroit Lions team. For the longest time, they've been the laughingstock of the NFL, and while they're currently sitting at 4-6, this is a very, very high-powered offense, and we are going to get into the specifics of that video, and then also their defense. As always, I'm going to be discussing what I think the Bills need to do against their defense, right, to be successful, and what the Buffalo Bills need to do against their offense in order to be successful and secure the dub and get to 8-3. Because frankly, I am getting so sick of having those fraudulent Miami Dolphins ahead of us in the AFC East. So right before we dive into the specifics, I do want to give a giant shout out to today's sponsor, and that just so happens to be Prize Picks. Prize Picks is hands down the #1 player prop bet platform on the entire internet. It is super easy to use. Simply just pick 2 to 5 players, and as long as you guess correctly and beat Prize Picks on their projections, whether or not that you guess over or under, you could see some pretty crazy payouts. The best part about it is that they are hooking up the Bills Mafia and my audience in particular. The second that you sign up for the platform, make sure that you type in the code Don Mafia, and they will match 100% up to your initial deposit, all the way up to $100. So essentially, you're getting free money, and if you know what you're talking about, you could easily turn that into easy money. So whatever you're doing, stop this video right now and download Prize Picks. You will not be sorry. Hey, you. Yeah, that's right, you. The guy that's sitting on the shitter right now, staring down at his phone with his double chin. Why haven't you hit the like button yet, dog? I asked you nicely. Literally 3 seconds ago. You're sitting there, it's like, oh, content, this dude. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. Really, ever since Dan Campbell took over that organization, I have been rooting for him not only to receive that pet lion he mentioned just a couple of years ago, but also for him to turn his team around, and so far, he has done a great job at it. Let's just hope that it takes a lull this week against the Buffalo Bills on Thanksgiving. Now, there's really 2 different stories when it comes to this team. Their offense is literally top in the league. Like, they are a top 5, top 6 team when it comes down into offense, but defense not so much. Starting off with their offense, these are the numbers that they are currently putting up. That is 25 points per game. So a 41% third down conversion rate, 5th in red zone scoring, 132 rush yards per game, 233 pass yards, and overall the number 6 offense in the NFL and number 8 in overall scoring. I mean, they have really invested particularly in their run game, and Jared Goff, while he has been inconsistent, especially at his time in LA, has been having a pretty damn good year. And so more specifically on Goff, he's completing 63.9% of his passes, 244 pass yards per game, and only 7 interceptions. I feel like that he was a slept-on quarterback for a very long time. I'm still sort of scratching my head as into why LA moved away from him, although Stafford did bring them a Super Bowl. He's still a very, very effective quarterback, and then this year it's starting to prove what he can do when you put some talent around him. Now, Jared Goff is really not much of a deep ball sort of quarterback. He's the kind of guy that really loves sending off those intermediary passes 10 to 15 yards downfield, and overall he is very effective. However, like any quarterback on the face of the planet, the way to get to this guy's head is going to be pressuring this man. You see very, very significant drop-offs. When he is kept clean, he is the best quarterback in the league as far as passer rating is concerned. However, when you get pressure on this man, this guy is in the bottom 5 of the league. When pressured, this guy is completing only 45.7% of his passes, and his passer rating drops to a measly 58.7% of the time. Now, blitzes is really not effective whatsoever. According to his splits, his numbers virtually do not change whatsoever. But if the Buffalo Bills can get that pressure on him as much as humanly possible, then he is an entire different quarterback and will not be very effective within the pass game at all. Now, what to expect from this guy? He loves play action. About 29% of his dropbacks are going to be that, largely thanks to the fact that the Detroit Lions have a wonderful run game in order where they can execute that effectively, and then screens are at around 17%. So this is a very creative offense led by a very creative quarterback, so we're probably going to be seeing a lot of different looks. But at the end of the day, this team is known to run the ball. Right now you have Jamal Williams, who is currently leading the league in touchdowns. He is an amazing pass blocker. So that's going to be additional protection on top of the offensive line in which they have, which is very, very effective when healthy. If this Detroit Lions offensive line could somehow stay healthy throughout the year, they probably would have the best squad in all of football. However, that is not the case. But with Jamal Williams, last week against the Giants, he absolutely tore it up. And then also with DeAndre Swift, who is a versatile weapon. The problem is that can he stay healthy? He was limited last week against the Giants. If he is healthy, he can catch the ball. He can run between the tackles. He's fast. He's versatile. The only question is what sort of workload is Dan Campbell and the Lions going to put on him? But expect a lot of running the football from this team. And so they're going to be mixing in a lot of zone looks and a lot of gap run looks. Very creative, particularly when they run the ball. On the outside, in the receiving room, they have an absolute star in the making, and that is Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amazing route runner, great hands. He's not like the biggest, most physical specimen on the face of the planet, but like this guy is going to be something special. He has been doing wonders for my fantasy team this year, and I have a feeling that this guy is going to be taking advantage of really how thin our cornerback room has been. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy puts up at least like over 100 yards in the passing game on Thanksgiving on Thursday. So besides Amon-Ra St. Brown, this wide receiver room really sort of takes like a wind down. With Josh Reynolds, we're not even sure if he is going to be available like going into Thursday. He hasn't played the past couple of games. He did not play against the Giants, so he's still on the injury report as of right now. Not sure if he's going to be able to make it. And then DJ Chark, who has only played 4 games this entire season, he was a non-factor against the Giants, really wasn't utilized much, so very interested to see what's going on with that wide receiver room. But from what I'm seeing right now, Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be that guy, that number that's going to be called on quite a bit. And I wouldn't be surprised if Goff wants to take advantage of how thin our secondary currently is. So Jordan Poyer, I am looking at you when this man gets downfield. And so, like I said, this offensive line for the Detroit Lions, if they were healthy, they would probably be the best squad in the entire NFL. The two that are 100% healthy are going to be the tackles, and that is Penei Sewell, who is probably going to be one of the best tackles in the entire league within the next year or two. Young player. He's like a once-in-a-generation talent. He's going to be great. So our defensive ends, and so whether or not that it's Von Miller, whether or not that Shaq Lawson needs to get a couple of snaps, they're going to have their hands full against this guy. And so then a guy by the name of Decker. 2 very, very good players. The thing is that their interior offensive line has a lot of question marks right now. Their guards are somewhat decent, but they can get got, and their center, who ended up leaving the game last week against the Giants, had an ankle injury. So we're not even sure if this man is going to play. So if we're going to get pressure on Goff, which, like I said, is a key for victory for the Buffalo Bills, we're going to have to make sure that we destroy that interior defensive line. I'm looking at Jordan Phillips, and I'm looking at Ed Oliver. I'm looking at Daquan Jones to have a damn game. That is how we are going to disrupt the flow of this offense and slow them down as much as humanly possible. And so outside of that interior pressure, I would say really only thing that I want from our secondary and want from our defense as a whole is that contested catch situation. I know that we have a lot of young guys out there that are filling in for some massive injuries, but listen, we do not need you to go out there and get some highlight reel interception. Knock the ball down. The contested catches on the Buffalo Bills secondary side of things this year have been horrendous, and a lot of it has had to do with our young secondary trying to be selfish and get those highlight plays. Knock the ball down, okay? I am getting sick of losing these contested catches. Let's just make this happen. I feel like the past couple of games, A lot of receivers that we have played have had the best catch of their career for the past 2 or 3 games. Knock the ball down, don't always go for the interception, and just make plays, slow them down. Like I said, this offense is very good. They are top 10 in the league. They're currently sitting at number 6. They're going to make plays. I trust this team is not going to underestimate them and just play smart football. Do what you can to slow them down, get pressure on Goff, and knock the ball down for any sort of contested catch situation. So then it comes down into the Detroit Lions defense, and wow, let me tell you what a turn of events. Okay, this defense is doo-doo, is booty cheeks, is straight up ass. Right now they are giving up 28.2 points per game, that is dead last in the NFL, 415 yards per game, that is dead last in the NFL, 153 rush yards, that is 31st, 262 pass yards, that is 28th. They are giving up third down conversions 50% of the time, and they are giving up a red zone score at 67%. And that is music to my ears, especially since it seems like we've been struggling in the red zone so much. This is the game where our offense gets right. Now, literally, I can go into some in-depth analysis when it comes into this team, but dude, there are so many weaknesses. It is absolutely atrocious. So the only thing that I think that I can really shout out from this team is that they have a couple of players on the defensive line, not game breakers by any stretch of the imagination. With Aiden Hutchinson, he still has a lot of things to work on, and so I think that he's going to be good this year, but I think that our offensive line is going to handle this defensive line easily. No doubt in my mind. I think that Josh Allen's going to have all the time in the world within the pocket today. And so Okudah is in concussion protocol right now. There is no chance in hell that he is going to play this game. There's going to be a bunch of replacements out there. Their linebackers are not good. They've been getting exposed the entire season. And the only bright spot I would say is that safety, Kirby Joseph, who's a ball hawk. He's a stud, but he's one of the very few bright spots of this team at the end of the day. So when it comes down to the Buffalo Bills offense, number one, let's stick with this track. Let's stick with this track of not turning the ball over. Look what happened when we ended up playing the Cleveland Browns, right? So we didn't even have the best offensive performance against the Cleveland Browns, and we still put up 31 points. That's what happens when you don't turn over the ball. This offense is going to be competitive. This team is going to be competitive. Don't give them any more opportunities, okay? I just read the numbers to you guys. This team can get exposed. Absolutely exposed. I fully anticipate Josh Allen to pick on the linebackers and to pick on the cornerbacks. These guys are young. They're not experienced at all, so confuse the hell out of them. Play action, RPOs. Make it a living nightmare. You open up the playbook because this is the defense to do it against. I highly anticipate this to be a game where Josh Allen throws 350 plus, 400 plus, because the matchups are just absolutely disgusting. Diggs is going to eat. Gabe Davis is going to eat. Dawson Knox is going to eat. Our running game is going to eat. I think that we need to mix it up as much as humanly possible and just really get Josh's confidence back because this is the defense to do it. So outside of that, just make sure you keep an eye out for Kirby Joseph and the safety side of things, but there is so much real estate to take advantage of that's being covered by those outside corners and linebackers. There really, really is. I expect the Buffalo Bills to put up damn points in this game. So final score prediction, Bills Mafia. I'm going to have to go, man, I see this being high scoring. I really, really do. 48-35 Buffalo Bills. I do see the Lions really putting up points. Like I said, their defense is struggling, particularly on the outside and linebackers just due to inexperience. And then our secondary is also struggling based off of just pure injuries as well. So I see that this being an absolute high scoring game. So I'm not sure what the over is on this game, but you better be sure I'm taking it. And so I see two high-powered offenses taking advantage of some very weak secondaries. So that's my final score prediction. So do me a favor, leave a comment. What is your final score prediction and what is your overall thoughts about this game? Real quick announcement, guys. The AFC's roundtable is tonight. That is Tuesday at 7:30. We decided to move it a day earlier due to the holiday. So make sure you tune in tonight. It's going to be a hell of an episode. Bills Mafia, thank you so much for tuning in. Before I let you go, better always remember, let's go Buffa.